Ann Coulter, of course, the best-selling author. Have you read her latest book? It is great. It's called Resistance is Futile. It's a huge bestseller, and it's her best book yet. Resistance is Futile. New book from Ann Coulter. You get it at Amazon or go to anncoulter.com. Ann Coulter, how you doing?
Fantastic. How are you, Mark Simone?
Good. Could you send a copy of this book to Jim Acosta or somebody?
No, that is actually a beautiful, perfect example. Every time I want to be mad at Trump, and there's plenty to be mad at him for, the media brings me back. They are keeping, Trump supporters and even normal people on his side, even though by the way, he's not really fulfilling his crucial promises on immigration. So I'd love to be mad at him. Nope, can't do it because Acosta is off suing. It's a violation of free speech of our precious First Amendment if Jim Acosta isn't allowed to dominate White House press briefings. I love the CNN's idea that what a presidential press conference is an opportunity for Jim Acosta to debate the leader of the free world. No, there are other reporters in the room. I mean, that happens to me all the time. As you know, I give lots of speeches, especially college speeches. The crucial rule, my bodyguard used to beat this into the students, and usually they forget immediately, is never let the person asking the question hold the mic.
No, that's for rule number one.
You hang on to the mic because a lot of people, some questions are really great. I'm not dissing questions. I love question and answer period. Some of them are really interesting, make me think, challenge me, are clever. But there seems to be one in every crowd who thinks that the reason hundreds of people have assembled in that room is to hear them talk.
Yes, and as someone who's been the moderator in a lot of those situations, I'm the one that has to grab the mic back and say, I said question, not a speech. Just ask a question. Exactly. I'll get to the point saying, okay, we've been listening, very interesting, but the next sentence better end with a question mark. Yeah, so, but this lawsuit, Fox is backing them up, but I think that's because, remember, Fox used to get thrown out of the Obama White House, and CNN backed them up there. So I think they just owed them on this one.
Well, that's very charitable.
Hey, let me ask you, since you're a best-selling author, your book, huge bestseller, Resistance is Futile. I'm watching this Michelle Obama book tour. Have you looked at this book? Aside from the Trump attacks, it's the most boring thing I've ever read.
Well, I like the idea. I'm thinking of writing a column on this, how we're all living in the fantasy fears of liberals. It reminds me of Dr. Ford, the non-doctor who falsely accused Brett Kavanaugh of having groped her in high school. Whenever I say that to people, they say, oh, no, wasn't it attempted rape? No, the attempted rape part was in her head. What she claims actually happened was, which she has no corroboration for, and everyone she said was there denies having been there, including one of her best friends. But still, what the accusation is, drunken high school groping, but in her head she thought, he might kill me. He might rape me. I think he's trying to rape me. And it's the same thing with Michelle Obama saying that when Trump did the birther stuff, which at the time I was extremely opposed to because I thought it made our side look like nuts. But I don't think this is just retrospective. This did actually happen. The one good thing about that was Trump did get Obama to finally produce his long-form birth certificate. And why wouldn't Obama do that? But precisely because of what I just said. It made conservatives look like nuts. You would hear about the birther thing. As a fellow MSNBC watcher, you know that MSNBC, Chris Matthews, they were constantly digging up birthers. Matthews would ask every Republican congressman to come on his program. So, do you think Obama was born here? Why don't you ask, Representative Conyers if he thinks OJ did it? Every side has some nuts on their side. Why are they the ones put in the position of having to insult some nuts on their side of the aisle? In any event, it was never talked about on Fox News, the birther thing, other than to say there was a birth announcement. He was born in Hawaii. So it was good for Obama to keep nuts ginned up. when Trump got him to finally produce his long-form birth certificate, that ended it. And that ended, our side looking a little bit crazy. In any event, to get back to the Michelle Obama book, she says that because of the birther thing, what if some nut came to Washington with a gun and tried to shoot my kids? Well, yeah, okay. How about every time, the New York Times or some liberal criticizes me?
Yeah.
What if some nut gets the idea to shoot me? That's in your head, Michelle. That's not something that actually happened.
It also made her look so weak and idiotic that she was traumatized by that. Trump gets hit with 150 of those a day and never blinks.
I know. I think it's a little more plausible to that this incessant drumbeat about Trump being a white supremacist and Nazi. I just saw an absolutely absurd little video of Sarah Silverman, who used to be a comedian, saying that this was, straight on Nazi because it's not even a dog whistle anymore because Trump says he's a nationalist, i.e. he cares more about people in this country than foreigners. Something I think all politicians used to at least claim.
Hey, Ann Coulter, what the hell is going on in Florida? How did you get that woman in charge of votes? Well, actually, Jeb Bush appointed her. So
I'm glad you mentioned it. That's what my column is about tonight. Democrats have a long history of stealing elections. And I think Republicans should be really ticked off if this. It's bad enough that Mitch McConnell has already given up Arizona. It's up to the Senate and the House to decide whom to seat, and I go through in my column how majority. Remember, the House was for most of our lives majority Democrat by a long shot. The Senate has often been majority Democrat, so these states would have close elections, have recounts. It would turn out the Republican won. They'd send the Republican, the Secretary of State, New Hampshire, Indiana, various places. They'd send their senator or congressman to Washington, and the Democratic House or Democratic Senate would just say, sorry, we're not seating you. In one case, the Republican won a New Hampshire Senate election. The U.S. Senate demanded that New Hampshire hold another vote.
Yeah.
They were going through looking at the ballots for an Indiana House race, and couldn't come up with, another way to. They couldn't figure out how to make the Democrat the winner. They finally just said, even though the Republican had won 2 recounts, the Democratic House said, nope, we're not seating the Republican, we're only seating the Democrat. So how about Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan stop whatever they're wasting their time on now, presumably sending, quotes to the Washington Post denouncing Trump, and saying, no, we're going to be looking at these votes. I mean, you could send Lindsey Graham, you could send Susan Collins down, whatever you say about. I mean, the idea of the Maine Republican, the reason that it has some meaning is we think of them as not being particularly opposed to abortion and, in fact, quite enthusiastic about it. But the good part of the Maine Republican types like Susan Collins is that, they believe in decorum and dignity and following rules. I'd like to have Susan Collins go down to Florida and get a look at what they're doing down there.
Well, I know people.
I don't think she'd put up with it, and I don't think the voters should put up with this. Republican voters are getting tired of voting for the Republican and then having it openly flipped and stolen in front of them while Republicans sit on their hands.
Yeah, that woman's got a history of pulling all kinds of crap, altering ballots, finding ballots, losing ballots. I know people that have said they've been in the room and caught people filling out ballots when they're supposed to be counting them.
Which our media seems strikingly uninterested in looking. If only they had some reporters they could send to the biggest story of the year.
Yeah.
No, they just wait for us to present the evidence to them. We're not reporters. And then you present it to them. Nope, no evidence. No evidence.
No, without evidence.
Law Center.
They always say that whenever Trump says anything, he said it without evidence.
Yeah, that's their job.
And I remember a year ago they seemed to be interested in somebody tampering with an election. Remember that?
Oh, yes. Well, also, Florida does have rules in place that have been flagrantly violated, the most important one of which, and the importance will become immediately obvious, is 30 minutes after the polls close, every precinct is required to state how many votes were cast.
Yeah.
because we don't want you spending the next 2 weeks manufacturing votes. So 30 minutes later, and then if there are any changes, it has to be updated every 30 minutes. Oh, no. Broward County and apparently Palm Beach County did not do so for several days after the election. No, I'm sorry. With Broward County, either you take the final tally plus military ballots the night of the election, you throw out all of Broward County's votes, or have a new election, or let the Senate count them.
Well, Ann Coulter, we're out of time, but everybody should get Ann Coulter's latest book. Big bestseller. It's called Resistance is Futile. I think it's your best book yet.
It's perfect for right now.
It's perfect for right now. And I'll tell you what, you don't know what to get somebody Christmas for the holidays? Get them this book. And if they're a Democrat, definitely get them this book, because it's like a handbook for them on how to resist better.
Yes. If only they would listen, we would have a much better country.
Yeah, so just get the new Ann Coulter book, Resistance is Futile. Go to AnnCoulter.com. You can get her column and everything. Follow Ann Coulter on Twitter and all that stuff, Facebook, Instagram. Ann Coulter, thanks for being with us.
Good to talk to you, Mark Simone. Bye-bye.
All right, take care.